Welcome to EDO Breakthrough, the podcast where we tackle economic development challenges head on. From small towns to bustling cities, every place has its own hurdles to overcome. The EDO Breakthrough podcast creates an environment of collaboration, innovation, and understanding where we can share our real-life challenges and brainstorm solutions. I'm your host, Sandy Dubé, a certified economic developer and founder of PPR Strategies. Each week, we'll be welcoming a different, brilliant, place-based mind to talk through real-life economic development challenges that have been shared with us by you, our gracious listeners. Today, I am joined by my longtime friend and colleague, Kelly Robertson-Slagle. Until recently, Kelly was the Director of Economic Development in Charles County, Maryland. And now Kelly is getting ready to embark on a new journey, a new adventure in economic development in South Carolina. Kelly, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your new role?
Sure. Well, first, let me just say thank you. I was so excited when I received the phone call from my dear friend Sandy that we've known for many, many years about the opportunity to have this conversation. So I wanted to say thank you to start out. And yes, super excited about the new opportunity in South Carolina. But first, a little bit about me. I am a Marylander. Born and raised in Charles County, Maryland. So this move to South Carolina is a really big deal for us. I've been actively involved in the state of Maryland, regional and local economic development for just over 25 years. It's hard to believe. I've done a lot of different things. Again, I started out at the state, worked for a couple regional organizations, then ultimately kind of landed on that. What I would think my sweet spot is being a director of a county or local municipal economic development organization. So it's been fun. It's been a great 25 years in Maryland, and I'm excited to get started down in South Carolina.
What will your role be in South Carolina?
So I was really excited to be offered the position as the next Director of Economic Development in Georgetown County, South Carolina, which sits just below Horry County, just above Charleston County. It is a beautiful community with so much potential. There's a lot of exciting things happening. So I'm really excited to hit the ground running in that community and get things started.
That's great. I think it's so much fun, the idea of starting in a new state, in a new community. When, I was thinking about you in this role, I was kind of thinking about what it must have been like, as you said, 25 years ago, first starting out in economic development, and what that was like for you, kind of learning as you go, identifying mentors, tapping into anybody who will share a nugget with you that you could take, and, make it your own. How has that kind of learning process and tapping into mentors, how has that changed and evolved for you over the years?
Oh, that's such a great question. And I know you and I have talked about this on more than one occasion about mentorship and the importance of it. And really, for us, Sandy and I kind of started in this fun industry around the same time. Back then, people, we didn't have all of the continuing education and, the workshops and the opportunities of, peer education that we have now. So, I quickly learned, when I started all those years ago, to really seek out what I consider, really key mentors that ultimately have truly I've maintained. They still to this day, many of them still to this day are mentors to me. And, why it was so impactful for me and why I continue to, when I talk to young leaders that are, kind of starting in the profession or really growing their career in this profession, why I, really push the mentorship component of it is, economic development, no 2 days are the same. And really no two projects are the same. And and to be able to speak to folks that have such a broad experience, whether it be at the state level, working and putting a project together with state resources and state partners, or maybe it's a regional project, that they need to tap, surrounding counties, to bring forth and bring their ideas, bring their energy, bring their political support. Really being able to brainstorm and pick the brain, for lack of a better term, of those folks that have been there and have done it, sometimes successfully, sometimes they've had some bumps in the road. I feel like all of that is just so impactful, and helps you really grow. The other part of it is, I learned a lot from my mentors coming up on their style. And that's probably, I did, kind of go down a rabbit hole a little bit on that, but their style when they're working with site selectors, what are some of the best practices? How do they interact with them? How do they get in the door? What is their style when they make phone call, that initial phone call to, introduce their community? What are some of the good things that that I could pull from that and kind of put into my repertoire to see, does that work for me? Does it not? And really help to, kind of mold my style after 25 years.
Yeah. And that's awesome. And, sometimes you and I may deny that somebody is actually looking to us for that leadership, for those styles and stuff. But it is interesting. I'm curious how others, and their styles have helped to shape how you do your work, and even what it's going to be like starting new in a new community.
Yes. Yes. I mean, that's something, I've done a lot of reminiscing, I'll say, as I'm kind of wrapping up or been wrapping up my career here in Maryland, and really thinking about, like, what are some of those key things? What are some of those key lessons, key experiences that I really want to bring to the table. And I've had, gosh, there's just so many things. It's come to me almost in like a waterfall over the last couple of weeks as I've been kind of wrapping things up, way back to the early days. When I was first starting out, we had the La Plata tornado, the F4 tornado that did some catastrophic damage. We just had the 23rd anniversary of that. I mean, that is just so hard to believe. We had some tropical storms, certainly COVID, going through COVID in the Washington metro area, and really relying and leaning on some of our counterparts at the regional as well as the state level to help us all kind of get through that and what that meant. But even working with the day-to-day, the mom and pops, the entrepreneurs that, are driving, doing the 9 to 5, but in the back of their mind, they have this really cool idea. And one day, they're going to wake up one day, feet are going to hit the floor, and they're going to be like, today's the day. Even working with them, in taking it from an idea that's in their head and bringing it all the way through to getting it on paper, helping them get all the pieces together to truly launch it, starting out at maybe a farmer's market or, a co-location kind of entrepreneur kind of thing, and then ultimately see them get their first brick and mortar and then grow to more than one, and hire their first employee. I mean, I have so many examples of that, and that excitement and that passion after 25 years, I want to be able to bring that to Georgetown. And, work and just be just as passionate about that, with the homegrown, the really cool and unique businesses that they have there. But, if there happens to be some sort of natural disaster, hopefully not, or some sort of national emergency, I can bring that too. I can bring that past experience, with me as well. But I can tell you, 25 years is a long time. The fact that I have this opportunity to move to a brand new community that I see so much potential has really sparked like a new excitement. It really has. And that in and of itself, it's like I will always be passionate about what I do. But the fact that I get to kind of bring my talents and see how I can help in this new community has really just, brought it to a whole new level for me. And, I'm excited to kind of hit the ground running and meet all of my new counterparts and my partners and all of that.
That's awesome. I think when I think of you, I think you always bring this sense of, an entrepreneurial respect to the table, as having been raised by entrepreneurs. And I think that that's a beautiful perspective that is really important in what we do. You don't need it to be an economic developer to have that, but you do need to have a respect and an appreciation for the entrepreneurs that are doing that. So I love that you wear your heart on your shoulder and on your sleeve, whatever that phrase is. And I think it's beautiful. I think I've also as a colleague, as a friend, I've loved the way you surround yourself with people that you trust and let them work in their zone of awesomeness and let them do their thing. And that's a fun environment to work with. And I think that the team in Georgetown County, South Carolina is so lucky to have you. And so it'll be fun for you to be a new full-time resident, getting to know and learn and appreciate, but also this idea, you're just outside of, you're probably proximity wise about the same from Myrtle Beach as people are here from, the DC area, right?
Yeah,
Or
and even Charleston.
And Charleston. Yes. Oh my gosh. So that region will be fun to they don't know what they've got coming. It'll be so good.
It's funny that you but I love that you said that about surrounding myself with people that I trust. And as an economic development director and truly and to kind of tie into that mentorship piece that we talked about earlier in the conversation, that's one of the things that I feel like I got that from the mentors that I got. It's so important to trust the people that you work with. And I find it really important when I do work, whether it is, a direct report, although I don't like to use that term, and my team will tell you that we are teammates, truly teammates. And I would never ask anybody on my team to do anything that I haven't already done or wouldn't be willing to roll up my sleeves and do. But I think it's really important as they're in their individual initiatives or their focus in economic development, because we do a lot of stuff, that they have their passion project, that they have something that they're really excited about, that they get excited every morning to get up and do, and to support that. Because I feel like if they're excited about it, we're going to work better as a team. We're going to keep it fresh. We're going to keep, things innovative and, the latest for our community and for our entrepreneurs. So that's something that I learned from a mentor of mine and that I try to, impart on any team that I work with. To find that passion project, even if it takes us a year to get it done, definitely find something that you're excited about and let's work on it together and bring it to a level that we can bring it and launch it into our community.
I think that's awesome. It gets me thinking a little bit about truly empowering. I love passion projects. I think everybody should have one. If it's, it can't be everything. You can't be insane. Like some of the stuff we just have to do to get through the day. But having that thing, and I think that's what helps you to grow as a human and as professionals. And I'm curious, maybe what you think is important for this next generation of economic developers to be either understanding or prioritizing in the field. Any crystal ball projection, thoughts there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have thought about that. I am the mom of 20 somethings. And honestly, I didn't speak to this when you first talked about like why we're going to South Carolina. Um, in addition to it being a really cool opportunity, it also allows my husband and I to be closer to our two grown adult children that now call that area of South Carolina home. So it's really twofold for us. Even with my kids and, they're launching into their professional careers, neither one of them are doing economic development, by the way. But one does work for a local municipal government. So we have a little bit in common there, with that. Yeah. For them is, certainly continuing or continuous education is important, especially in economic development. Definitely get your foundations, take your INDC courses like we've all done, which is extremely important, but it does not stop there. Take other opportunities to continue to advance, because let me tell you, and we're seeing it, technology is advancing quicker than we are. Entrepreneurs, I feel like I'm at that stage where I'm like running just behind them with their ideas and different things. So the better prepared and the more proactive, I think, especially young economic developers coming up, but even us that have been doing it for a while, the more, continuing education, that professional development, really trying to stay ahead on the trends is going to make you better, because you're going to be able to have those conversations, really be able to understand, really be able to pinpoint, especially in the areas of innovation and technology. I mean, that really is the future. A cash flow statement is a cash flow statement is a cash flow statement. A business plan is a business plan is a business plan. Those things, you're solid, you understand it, you got it. But innovation, technology, AI, these tools of the trade that are really helping us be efficient, is extremely important. So, and I tell my own kids that. I mean, that's just, yes, for young economic developers, but I tell my own kids, yes, I want you to take a break, catch a breath from your last opportunity to, enhance your knowledge, but don't stop. And I've showed them, I do it myself. I've slowed a little bit. I'll say about every year and a half now, but I challenge myself to continue. And whether it's a leadership training opportunity, an economic development, senior economic development opportunity, certainly our state resources. I've been a wonderful active member of MEDA, Maryland Economic Development Association, for 20 plus years. They offer and have offered a lot of really unique opportunities to advance knowledge. And I'm excited to get involved in South Carolina's association. I know they have a really active one as well. So that would probably be that rises to the top for me. I'm sure there's a ton more, but that's the one that I think, I'll leave here today as my little nugget.
I love it. I love it. So, we talk about regionalism a lot. And we recently came off of a conference together for MEDA, talking about this idea of regionalism. And I know you've got lots of different regions, and I'm sure you're going to have them in South Carolina, like you said, between, the Myrtle and Charleston. Georgetown County is right there, smack dab in the middle of it all. And so finding these alliances, this collaboration, can you share with us maybe some takeaways on, things that you've had the opportunity to collaborate with, either with your Southern Maryland partners or the MCREDA team, and what that means and what that looks like?
Absolutely. That's one thing that, from my early days in economic development to my most recent time, I can tell you regionalism is where it's at. I mean, truly is where it's at. We can no longer function effectively and be successful individually anymore. And I've said this often, and it's so true. even when, existing businesses, they don't look at boundaries. They don't look at political boundaries. They look at where's their customer base, and so I think we used to get hung up on that political boundaries and all of that. But in reality, to folks outside of us, it doesn't really matter, other than maybe the politicians. It matters with them. But I've had the great fortune to really work. I would say 2 regional organizations most closely. Certainly, there has been others. But SMEDA, or the Southern Maryland Economic Development Association, which is made up of economic developers in Charles County, St. Mary's County, and Calvert County, Maryland. So south of DC, we have been actively working together, supporting each other's large projects, regionally branding, just straight up helping each other out as friends and colleagues my entire career. And I can tell you so many examples where it's like, I'm raising the red flag, guys. I need help over here. And the cavalry has come running. Whether it's, we're getting ready to go into a public comment period and I need to rally the troops to kind of help, provide a level of support and perspective, whether it be to planning commissions or elected leaders or things along, or the Public Service Commission. You never know. There's a lot of different projects that go through different levels of review, and they are looking for public comment on it and public perspective. Tons of examples of regional initiatives where we've pulled resources together to be able to host events and activities to bring in our business community, to introduce a new concept, to educate them, to highlight our region to outside potential interest. We are home, Southern Maryland is home to 2 very large military, Navy, Department of Defense Navy installations. We've gone through BRAC, where we've rallied the troops together and really regionally promoted as new residents and new tenant commands were being consolidated into our area. We knew we were going to get an influx of, hundreds of residents. So we rallied together to be able to do a roadshow for them and introduced Southern Maryland to them, who didn't know where Southern Maryland was even on the map at the time. And we welcomed them in with open arms. So that's Southern Maryland. MCREDA, which is the Maryland National Capital Regional Economic Development Association, mouthful. Those are my friends in the capital region. So those counties and communities that surround Washington, D.C., basically. So that's a little bit more to the north with Prince George's County, Anne Arundel, Howard, Montgomery, Frederick, our friends in Frederick. I don't want to forget anybody. I think I got everybody there.
Yeah, I don't think you missed it.
If I missed any of my colleagues, I'm sorry. I love you all. But that organization formed pre-COVID, but we didn't know at the time that COVID was going to happen. So part of it, we were just lucky, I think, to be able to get that group formally organized. And again, the initial focus was really to start regionally branding our surrounding communities there, and talking about some of the economic development assets. Same thing, similar to what we were doing with SMEDA, but, broadening it a little bit. And because we're just south and, kind of that next tier, south of Prince George's County in the Beltway, we were lucky to kind of fall on that line. So we were included in that group. We've done a lot, launched a website, got some, key testimonials. We meet weekly. And we were meeting weekly, and then COVID hit. And let me tell you, what a blessing that group and that weekly call became, I should say. It was everything from quickly sharing best practices, quickly sharing surveys, quickly sharing tactics that we were using within our own. So we weren't replicating the wheel. We were quickly able to, hey, what are you doing? Can we take the backbone of your website? How are you handling your grant distributions? I mean, just the exchange of information at such a critical time, I cannot tell you how valuable that was. And just as important, it became a sense of, and I want to use the right words here and not sound snarky or even, but we were exhausted. As economic developers, we were exhausted, and it became a safe space for us to say, you know what, today really stunk. And this is why it stunk. I had an owner call and they weren't able to go through and they're crying on the phone with us and we're trying to, and it became almost like this level of therapy. And I've heard from other areas that they had very similar, because it's not like I could, and I did. My husband's amazing and wonderful, but he doesn't always understand the complexity of everything that I do on a day to day. And let me tell you, that was a really unique time for economic developers. It was across the country, but it really was in the state of Maryland, because overnight we turned from more site selector, putting large projects together, to grant organizations literally overnight. And, that was a change that none of us had ever experienced, nor did we have the infrastructure for it. So we learned a lot on the fly. We all did amazing. Really, truly, I would say my colleagues across the state talking about rising to the occasion, they rose to the occasion and then some to help our local communities. And, I pray, literally pray, we don't ever have to experience anything like that again, especially for our local business communities across the country. But if we do, we are going to be so much better prepared because of that experience and because of those regional partnerships that we had and we formed, and will transcend on for the next thing and the next opportunity that we can tackle together as a region.
Yeah, you're right. You never want any of these things to happen in that instance, but we do need to be prepared. Disaster preparedness, resiliency, an approach, having these different, having a plan that we hope to never have to implement, but at least being there and figuring it out. I think we all learned a lot in the last 5+ years. So again, kind of thinking to what you are taking now, and your approach and your energy now with a new job. What does that I guess what's that mindset look like? What are you're starting fresh in a whole new community, a whole new state. What are, I don't know, the top couple of things? What are your first couple of things that you're going to do when you get there?
I literally, I feel like a kid in the candy store. I'm not even kidding. Like, a little kid in the candy store, because I'm like, there's so many, my economic development side of my brain is never shuts off, So, the fact that we fell in love with this part of South Carolina well before this opportunity presented itself. So, I've had the opportunity to spend some good quality time down there, get to as more of a tourist, and a part-time homeowner down there. I've got to see it from that perspective for several years now. So to be able to come in and be able to really feel like I can bring my level of, I'll say consulting expertise, perspective, partnership, all of that just excites me. And it's funny because the community, about 66,000 residents in the county. I'm coming from Charles County. That's like 192,000. So it's a little bit smaller. It's definitely coastal, which I absolutely love. And I'm talking like homegrown, traditional mom and pop type businesses. And that to me is where my heart is. You had mentioned earlier that I was raised and raised in a family of business owners. And, so I know, I remember, how hard that is, and, but at the same time, how fulfilling and exciting it can be. And the fact that, I've been in it for generations, I can talk and I love to celebrate the wins, and I want to be there when I can help and be able to, get them to grow and succeed. So I'm super excited. They have a regional airport that is actively under expansion. So that's something as we have a regional airport in Charles County that we've been actively working on that's under expansion. So there's some synergies there. They have a really amazing community college. I am a graduate of College of Southern Maryland. I'm going to give them a little love, which is an amazing community college. So, and I've been active on the CSM Foundation for many, many years. So I bring that community college passion and understanding. So I'm really excited to meet and, find out about all of the innovative programs and how we can expand that down there. I'm also super excited about working with their local electric utilities. They provide a level of economic development, I'll say tools that I don't currently have in Charles County, but I'm very excited about working with them and seeing, what are some of the new developments? What are some new opportunities as we develop out some of these business parks and other things that I know are kind of in the pipeline in that area. So, it's like, if anything, it's going to be like, all right, Kelly, priorities, where, you have a laundry list of things. Let's start prioritizing and, start knocking some of this stuff out. So definitely a kid in the candy store. That is totally my mentality right now. And you and I've seen each other in person. So you've seen the smile on my face.
It's so good. Well, and I think that every economic developer should put themselves in that role of a tourist or a newbie periodically. We all get so overwhelmed by the day-to-day. Sometimes we forget to look through the lens of someone who doesn't know how to navigate all the things. So I love that you have been learning the community as, a part-time resident tourist, through that lens, and also your kids, again, in their mid-20s to have that experience. What are their needs and expectations from employment to, raising children when they get to that point, themselves starting their own families and things like that is a beautiful thing for you. I think you're very fortunate, and Georgetown County, South Carolina is insanely fortunate to have you. I wish you all the best. And one of the phrases that I keep, that keeps ringing in my head this entire conversation is something that somebody told me once, that they said that they get to live someplace that others pay to visit. And they were talking about a different community, but I think it's so relevant here, in your coastal South Carolina, community. So
Yes,
congratulations
definitely.
to you, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very cool. As we wrap up our little conversation today, is there anything else that you wanted to share before I ask my final question?
I just really, if anybody who's listening to this is just new or interested in maybe getting into economic development, I'm hoping they are. I just want to encourage them to go for it. When I was, growing up, going in, high school, and then even my early part of college, I did not think that I was going to grow up and be an economic developer in no way, shape, or form. Like many of us, I've kind of fallen into it, was like, oh, wow, this is fun. I think this is something that I could do this, I just encourage them to go for it, because it is, every business you touch, every project you touch, it's just so fulfilling, and not many, and you get to see the outcomes. You get to be a part of the celebrations. It's especially if you, and like me, because I am, my heart leans towards being a fixer. I'm a hugger. So for me, I'm that, I want to be there to help. I get that from my mom. So I get it very honestly. She's very much like I am. And I'm seeing my daughters very much like that too. So I'm thinking it's a generational thing. But it's very satisfying. And, for me, if you can find a career that you can get that part of that satisfaction out of it, and as a bonus, really being able to help your community, go for it. Go for it. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to seek out mentors. I can promise you, if you stick with it, it is an amazing career. It is an amazing career to be a part of.
Yeah, you're right. I love that, Kelly. That was very sweet. And yeah, it was funny because all I kept thinking was, wow, apparently I need to work behind the scenes with lots of different economic developers and help you all do your job. Like, let me just have our team play a small role in helping you guys, work within your zone of awesomeness. Yes, I love that. Thank you. Thank you. That's very cool. So my last question that I asked all my guests here was, as the title is, and EDO Breakthrough, I would love for you to share what was your economic development breakthrough.
Oh my goodness. I would say for me, economic development, my breakthrough when I really, and I have one of my mentors actually drilled this into my head. It's not, believe it or not, for me, it's not about the buildings. It's not about the numbers, and my elected leaders will probably shoot me. It's really not about the commercial increase in commercial tax base, even though really it is. But for me, it's not. For me, it's about the people. It is about the people. It's about the business owners. It's about my coworkers on my team. It's about my colleagues. It is about the people. And if you can interact and build your teams and build your regional collaborations and, have that rapport with your business owners, have those rapport with your site selectors, with the new businesses coming into your community, if you can, really make that about the people, the rest of it is going to come. Literally, the rest of it's going to come. Your taxes are going to come, all of the other things are going to fall into place. It's got to be about the people first, and developing those relationships and that rapport and that good customer service and saying what you're going to do and following through. For me, it's about the people.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm going to miss you terribly. I feel like this is a super fun way to, to send you off from Maryland, but I can't wait to follow and connect and hear about and, support in any way we can, you and Georgetown County, South Carolina.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best on your next adventure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for the opportunity today. You're one of my very favorite people, and I really enjoyed this. So thank you. And I will not be a stranger.
I know. Thank you. Well, until next time, thanks for listening.
The EDO Breakthrough podcast is brought to you by PPR Strategies. PPR Strategies, standing for People and Places Reimagined, is a strategic consulting firm working specifically with EDOs and other place-based organizations. We share the unique stories of communities through communication, strategic planning, marketing, media relations, and more. Visit us at pprstrategies.com and find our contact information in the show notes. I'd like to give a big thank you to you for listening. Remember, together we are unstoppable.